I was very excited to have you here on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And in today's podcast, we are continuing the series of my product launch formula, going through me launching a product from start to finish, coming up with the idea, writing the sales letter, etc., etc. And if you haven't started at the beginning of this series, I recommend that you do, because it will put everything in context. I started at episode 232. And now we're up to part 8, I think it is, this one. So anyway, in this episode, what I want to do is go through how I now put the content together. I realized yesterday, if I've gone through the marketing side, but what about the product, literally like the actual product creation side, doing the lessons and stuff, like what's my process for that? So I'm going to talk about that in today's podcast. I've never really discussed this before. I've only ever really taught marketing. I've never really taught how to create a course type program or anything like that. But I have actually. I'm looking at my products. Like since 2013, I've got maybe like 30 or something different products. So I've got a lot of experience creating products. Although I don't really sell them anymore. I just do the one program. But this is going to be kind of like a newer program for me. But anyway, what I'm going to do right now is go through my process for creating this could apply to a course, like a more extensive course or a lower ticket, shorter course or whatever. Okay, so I take a few simple steps. So the first thing that I do, and again, I keep it really simple. Like I literally I'm looking at my notes here. I use the Apple Notes app. I just have the Notes app and I just map out the lessons, right? So if I'm doing like a full-fledged course with modules, and then within each module there's lessons, I will have one note that just has a general overview of like, okay, here's the system, right? Here's the module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, and then kind of like a brief description of like what each module is. So I can see like, here's the sequential step-by-step process, how the client gets from point A to point B and they end with that result, right? So that's the kind of overarching overview system. And then I'll create a note for each of the modules, okay? So I'll open up a new note and I'll say module, I've got some here, the Aussie Hermits high ticket sales script. I think it's one of the last kind of modules I created for my bigger program. And so if I click inside there, it has like the overview lesson, then all the lessons, this lesson, the mindset lesson, how to do the opening of the sales script, how to do the discovery phase, how to do the transition to the pitch, how to do the pitch, how to talk about your deliverables, how to talk about your guarantee. So it's just like going in logical order, right? So I literally just I map out each module. Okay, now because this is a low ticket course, it's basically just like a module. So I just have a list of lessons for this specific one, right? So I've listed out all the lessons, and then each lesson I'll have notes of like exactly what I want to teach in that, like kind of like dot points, right? So this lesson, like number 1 is like, the intent ad. Here's what I want to teach with the intent ad, right? So I literally map it out, bullet points. So that's that. I get 100% clear on what the lessons are and what I want to teach. So that way I can see it all together. And then if I need to add lessons or move things around or whatever, which I was doing this morning actually for this Facebook applications ads product that I've been creating in this series, I was doing it this morning, and I realized I had some things missing, so I chucked in another lesson and put notes here. So I'm pretty much finalized it now. And so what I do then is I take the notes from that lesson, and those notes are what I use to then go and record the actual lesson. So let's talk about that next. So the first step is literally just take your module and map out in the lessons, and then with notes on each of it. Okay. And then that's the first step. Then the next step is I go over to PowerPoint, and then I will create like just a generic core, like a template that I'm going to use for the whole course, right? So it'll have like a little photo of me down the bottom of the PowerPoint presentation. Then on the right hand side is and if you invest in this course, you'll see it, right? So you'll see a little circle logo of me. On the right hand side is my logo, and then right in the middle in small writing it says copyright 2023, and then my company name. And then there is that's basically it. And then so I just use that template slide for the whole course, and then I'll just put words in the middle, right, as I'm teaching. Okay, now the way that I do my courses, and then this is doing it for a long time, is that I know people don't really love watching videos. And so the way that I structure my content is I will try and do, I'll try and create frameworks as much for as many of my processes or steps as possible, right? So for example, in this course, I'm getting my customers to write a Facebook ad, right? So I'm going to turn that into a fill in the blank template that they can use, and that will be a Google Doc. Okay, but the actual video will be short because it'll basically say, hey, here's what I want you to do in this lesson. Go fill out this. Go ahead and download the Google Doc now and start filling it in, right? So the point is, I generally just use the videos just to give them context as to what they're doing. So I want to try as much as possible to keep the videos as short as possible. So that's where obviously the PowerPoint presentations come in, but then they go fill out the framework or template or script or whatever it is, the asset that they're using to get the result. The only time that I will use long videos is when I have to show some type of tech setup, right? Well, obviously it's much easier to just record my screen and go, okay, here's how you open up a Facebook ad account. Go here, click this button, blah 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 blah. So tech type videos, yes, they're generally a bit longer because I need a video to explain how to set up the tech. It's much easier to do that than in a Google Doc, as an example. So basically, I will do once I've mapped out the notes, I will then go and create the frame, which I was doing this morning actually, just the template presentation, PowerPoint presentation, and then I'll go and copy and paste all my notes in. Okay, so the PowerPoint presentation will have a title slide and it'll be the name of the lesson. So for example, one of the ones in this course is 3 ways to increase lead quality. So the PowerPoint presentation will have a title slide that just says 3 ways to increase lead quality. Then in the next slides, I'll just go through my notes, and then I'll say, okay, off you go if you want to, go and take action on what I've described here. Right. So and then I basically have an intro slide and an outro slide, and they're generally always the same. It just the title of might change, but the outro slide always ends with your next steps, right? Here's what you have now that you've watched this video. Here's what you have to do. So I just, the point is I just literally copy and paste my notes in from that I've already mapped out. And I just duplicate the template, copy and paste notes in, duplicate the template, copy and paste notes in, duplicate the template, right? Copy and paste, that's what I'm gonna be doing today. And then I go and create the frameworks, okay? So when I've mapped out my lessons, I just put little asterisks next to the lessons just to know, okay, here are the lessons that I actually need to do a Google Doc framework for. So for example, the calling script for this program, the intent, the ads that I mentioned before. So there are a few have different scripts and templates that I have to create, and I've put asterisks next to that. So I do that next. So I'm gonna put everything into the PowerPoint slides, basically ready to record. Then I will go and do the actual frameworks. That's next, and then I will go and record, right? So I try and do this in a shorter time frame as possible because I don't want to map all this out, create the frameworks, and then come back 3 months later and try and record, because you lose it, right? And then you have to read back through everything and go, okay, what was I thinking here? So you really want to, once you've mapped it out and put it all in presentation and done your frameworks, to record as quickly as possible, because the quality of your presentation, your teaching is going to be a lot better because it's all in your head. It's kind of because you've been thinking about it so much over the last week or 2 weeks or months or whatever. You don't want to have a big gap between when you do the mapping it out and when you're recording. So anyway, so you can see I'm kind of batching each thing. So I do all the notes, then I put it all in the PowerPoint presentation, then I create any frameworks. Then I go on to recording. And so the software I use for that, you can use something like Loom, but I want something that's fast and that it's easily editable. The downside with Loom, stuff like that, is it's hard to edit. You can cut off the ends, but taking chunks out of the middle or adding text or whatever, it's just, it's slow and you can't do some of the functionality. So I use ScreenFlow. It's worth the $150. I probably use it every week. If you're a content creator, which if you're a coach, you create content, videos, I highly recommend you get a proper video editing software. ScreenFlow is about $150. and I think Camtasia is around 100. That's for ScreenFlow is for Mac, Camtasia is for Windows. They're the two kind of main ones. So anyway, I record with ScreenFlow, and again, I'm trying to just do the lessons one after the other as much as possible. So I block out sometimes. So for this one, it's got about 20 lessons. I know 24 lessons. That's probably going to take me 2 days to record. So probably like 2 4-hour blocks, I would say. But I'm just going to try and get through it as quickly as possible, so I can batch the recording phase, right? Now that I don't export it, I just go record, stop, save, move on to the next one. Record, stop, save. So I don't export anything. It's all just saved in the ScreenFlow file. Then the cool thing with ScreenFlow is I will, oh, by the way, sorry, when you finish recording with ScreenFlow and you hit stop, it'll bring up the application, and that's when I do my editing. So I just cut off the ends, the beginning and the end. If there's any bit where I screwed up, I'll cut that out, and that way I know it's edited, right? And then I'll save it and I'll just move on to the next one. I won't export it because it slows the computer down while I'm trying to continue recording. So I actually do the editing right after I record, because it usually takes about 30 seconds. So now I know, okay, that's ready to export. So once I've done all the 24 lessons, then I go on, the cool thing with ScreenFlow is you can go select all these files, these ScreenFlow files, and export. It'll kind of batch export all of them together. And so then I have all of my videos, and I upload those to certain places on my computer. I upload them to Vimeo, upload them to backup drives and stuff like that. So I put them in a few different places so that they're backed up and safe. Because again, I've done an episode before about this in the past. This is your IP, right? So you want to make sure that you get that backed up and in the right spots as quickly as possible. But the main place they go is Vimeo. And then I use the Vimeo links and I put that in my membership site. So that's the final step, is going into, so I use a membership site on my WordPress. I don't like to use Kajabi or those types of all-in-one platforms for reasons that I'll explain in an upcoming episode. Actually, I've been waiting to record that episode. I don't like the all-in-one platforms, and I'll explain why. But yeah, so the Vimeo files are ready to go. Then I just go over to, I forgot what the name of my WordPress one is. Hang on, I'll log in here. But yeah, I like to have control over like my content and a bit more control. Even though when you have a membership site through WordPress, something like it is a bit more finicky, a little bit more tech setup. I use LearnDash. So anything to do with WordPress, like plugins and stuff, yes, technically it can be a little bit annoying getting things set up. I mean, mine's already set up now, so it's not a big deal, and I know how to do it. But you have a bit more control and a bit more security. So anyway, I use LearnDash, and so the final step is to go and put the lessons into LearnDash. And then and then I can do the upsells. Then I have to go ahead and do the upsells. I have to do the order bump, and then I have to do the offer boot camp that I mentioned in the previous episode, and I have to go do the sales script. Now the good thing is most of that content's ready to go. It's just more about just recording a couple of quick videos. Because I've got the content, it's just a couple of quick videos. So that's not a big deal. But again, you see why now, going back to the original episode, why I launch the and to see if it sells in the first instance before I go through all of this, because there's a lot to get set up, right? And so I've had clients, for example, working with a client now, she had a program that people didn't want. And I said, well, this is what they want, so you're gonna have to kind of create your program like that. She's like, well, I'm gonna have to go and update all the lessons and stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, you will if you want it to sell. And she did, and now she's getting appointments finally after many years. So that's why you test, find out what the market wants, and then you create the course around that. Don't go and create a course and then go and try and find the market. It's much harder to do it that way. So that being said, that's an insight into, I'm just looking at the time here. That's an insight into just the process that I go through for creating a course. And actually some good news, by the way. I got another sale from the course. So I've turned off the ads now. So I spent $90 $2 or something, and got 2 sales. So that's $140 return, which is really good sign. So the click-through rate is about 2%, which is very good. The cost per click is around $6 or so. So it means that the conversion of the sales page is like well above 10%, which is amazing. It'd be interesting to see if it stays there. And that's one of the funny things with paid advertising is that, I could create all this course, relaunch the ads, and then ads do weird stuff and it may not convert the same, so I've experienced that many times before. But based on like seeing 2 sales come through so quickly, it's a very, very good sign. So I'm very excited for this. And anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this series so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to do any more installments. I'll have to think about it. I'll definitely give you and everyone else an update on how the campaign's going. I'm probably going to relaunch it maybe at $500 a day budget, $1,000 a day once all the funnels are ready to go, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's exciting. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode on product creation. And if you are getting value out of this podcast, what I'd love for you to do, if you haven't yet done it yet, because I can see how many people are listening to this, and there's quite a few of you. But not everyone's given a review yet by a long way. So if you've been listening to this podcast and you're getting value out of it and you still haven't given me a review, I would love for you to take literally about 15 seconds. All you have to do is I've made it really easy for you. Just go to reviewlukespodcast.com. It'll take you straight to a box. Like it'll pop up on Google, the box will pop up, and you just give it a number of stars and a little comment, okay? Give it a review to let me know how I'm going. And if you do, I'll give you a workshop called the 1-sentence offer that gets $5,000 clients. Just send me an email, say, hey, look, I gave you a review, and I'll send you the link to that workshop, the 1-sentence offer that gets $5,000 clients. So all you have to do is go to reviewlukespodcast.com and give me a